Worship leader who's been traveling through Canada, Sean Feucht, now is the 12th Canadian city to reject or cancel his public gatherings from Montreal to Halifax.
If it was 2 events, maybe 3 max, but 12 cities continually shutting down one guy, there's something happening here. It's a quick release episode because we had some questions after our last episode. If you didn't see that, go back, watch that with Sean Feucht. And we had some questions for the mayor. The mayor responded, and we've got the mayor of Winnipeg joining us.
It's very gracious of him to come and join us. Good morning, Mayor Scott Gillingham. Thank you so much for joining us today on Citizen. It's our honor. We want to just get your thoughts and opinions. There has been an American worship leader who's been traveling through Canada on 2 different legs of his journey, Sean Feucht, and he was in Eastern Canada for the first leg, and I believe he is starting up again this next week in Winnipeg and heading west to continue on with Christian worship events. And there's been a bit of, you call it controversy, definitely media headlines.
A bit of a lightning rod,
Bit of a lightning rod, national conversation that's kind of been brought up because of continuous, I guess, rejection or cancellations of permits in different cities. And one of the most bigger ones that hit the headlines was Montreal and him going to a church. And there's a bunch of, maybe call it fireworks, that came up. Winnipeg, from what we understand and from what we do know, canceled a permit, I believe, from Central Park that he had. And we figured, you know what, we're going to try to reach out to you. And we're so glad that you were accepting the chat. I wanted to just connect with you to get Winnipeg side, your side of the story in terms of why was this canceled for Sean Feucht? Maybe tell us what your understanding is and what's happened from your end.
Thank you. Well, to be clear, his permit was not canceled in Winnipeg. And so that's an important distinction. An application was made to the city of Winnipeg, I think by Burn 24/7, I think is the organization that made the application, to use Central Park. And for your viewers and listeners, Central Park is a park right in the center of the city of Winnipeg. It's not a very large space. It's surrounded by kind of a high poverty area. Many groups use the park. Our staff, as they do, our city staff, reviewed the application, and after speaking to many departments within the city, as they will do when they review an application for a permit often, determined that space would not, they couldn't guarantee it could accommodate what he wanted to do. First of all, the event, the worship event, is not a ticketed event. That's fine. But there was no way for our staff to determine then how many numbers of people would be attending and coming into the park. That caused concern, rightly so, for our emergency department. We have a fire hall that's not too far from there, very busy fire hall in the downtown, and they didn't want anyway jeopardizing calls to get the fire trucks to any calls. So the permit was not canceled. It was not approved. It was denied because of the location. Now, there was nothing stopping Burn 24/7 from applying for another location. They didn't do that. My understanding is they've got a space somewhere outside of Winnipeg now. But to be clear, Winnipeg did not cancel the permit.
Okay. Yeah, and we do appreciate you doing this because we just met with Sean a few days ago and we asked him a bunch of questions, and so this is quite refreshing in my opinion. Of most people who are in office positions kind of hide behind PR agents and stuff like that. So again, I commend you for being so quick to respond and then answer some difficult questions as well. When we were discussing with Sean, one of the things he did mention was that, and I don't know, I want to make sure we get the facts. I don't want to exaggerate. We're looking for the facts and details. But he mentioned that they applied for many parks, I think was the word he used. And that they were all denied or not approved. What's the wording?
Well, the wording I got from Representative Nikki from Burn 24/7 said we'd applied to almost every other park in Winnipeg and denied before we even got to Central Park. And so anyways, that's something that they claim. We're not trying to do a he said, she said. We want to be objective about what events go forward. And I think, Mayor, to give you a little more context as to our angle in terms of how we're coming into this, is that when we look at, I think, in Canada over the last 7-8 years, one thing that we want to make sure is that there's always an equal application of law. It doesn't matter what religious, non-religious activist group or not when things are going in different cities. I think that with this specific incident with Sean, that not specifically Winnipeg, but the previous ones, there definitely could be potential discrimination involved in what was going, especially with different events happening beforehand in the same venues in Montreal, etc. So we're trying to be objective about what's happened and just give a chance to say. But what Jeremy was saying, do you have any idea about those previous applications that were rejected leading up to Central Park?
No, this is news to me.
Okay.
That was not what my staff had indicated. The only news I had, the only information I have is that there was only one application that was made for Central Park. I'm not aware that any other application was made to any other parks. And in fact, after our staff denied the application for Central Park, I'm on record in the media saying that I would like to see our staff assist him in his organization with a more appropriate location. I'm also on record saying, look, in Canada, we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms that permits people, among other things, all groups, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of religion, the freedom of worship, the freedom to gather. And so those are charter rights. And to your point, gentlemen, in my view, need to be guaranteed. They need to be protected across our nation and certainly within Winnipeg as well.